Dees. Welcome to the podcast. I'm very glad that you are here. On the program, on the studio line with me today is Lenora. What's going on, Lenora?
Hey, Billy. How you doing?
Awesome. Awesome. Lenora is one of our regular co-hosts, I guess I would call her at this point. She talks about her personal journey, and she talks about wellness, and she talks about being positive. A lot of things go into her wheelhouse, so to speak. And today, I've never really considered this too often, but I would have to say that it makes sense, and that is the connection between mental health and what we eat. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Just to let you know, you can follow me on Twitter. Real easy to find on Twitter at Billy Dees. That's pretty much the screen name that I use for everything. You can find the Billy Dees Podcast. We're on Facebook now. We're on YouTube. Relatively new to those platforms. We do get some views, but obviously the vast majority of our audience comes in on the podcasting platforms. Been on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for many, many years, well established there. Also Castbox. Let's see here, Stitcher, on down the line, iHeartRadio. The support from those platforms for us has been absolutely fantastic. So let's start with Lenora. Lenora is a monster on TikTok. Yes, you are an absolute getting bigger all the time, a big creator on TikTok, and I don't doubt that your sincerity as to who you are is a big part of that, because people like that, and I don't doubt that your audience, comes to you for those reasons. What is your screen name again on TikTok?
Ooh.
Okay,
well, it's Lenora Colarusso. You can definitely find me just by my name right there.
Yeah.
It's New Dawn for You.
Oh,
I
that's
believe
right.
that it's, yeah, it's New
I
Dawn.
can check it right here.
New,
Well, just bear with us one moment. I'm going to get on TikTok here, and
and I'm not a monster, everybody. I
well,
am pretty.
what I meant was is you are you have a huge following.
I don't though, compared to TikTok. It's you have to say it's relatively easier to accumulate followers.
Mhm.
So in TikTok land, I'm not that big, but that's okay. It's not why I'm on there. It is to make a difference in people just feeling better
Yeah.
about themselves.
Yeah,
So
well, you have upwards of 11,000 followers, and that's that's a fair amount of people. I know in TikTok you have celebrities are getting on there now, and you have these people that do dancing and everything, and obviously some of them can have just untold amounts of followers, but by most people's estimation, you have 11,000 people that are enjoying your content, and your content's a little different. It has meaning, like you said. You're being a positive force in people's life. And in your screen name is it's a New Dawn, numeral 4 YOU. It's a New Dawn for You. That is your screen name on TikTok. I'm just Billy Dees on TikTok, and I really haven't done that much on there with the podcast and all the platforms that we're on, and trying to maintain Facebook and everything else. The YouTube is just too much, but I should turn my attention to TikTok a little more, because a lot of guests this last year have come from TikTok world. So, I mean, I believe that it's just a platform that lends itself to creators and people who can communicate well. So, TikTok has been great in that regard. How did you get started? Now, you're a nurse, correct?
I'm an RN holistic health coach.
Okay. And how did you get started in being aware of health and all that? When did that passion begin in you?
Well, I was on here already telling my story, so I won't go back and dig all that up, but it
Yeah.
had to be Probably when I was 16. So I'm 56 now. Not to say that I was a healthy health fanatic, but I've always been into health and wellness since I'm 16. And
Yeah.
that comes, my dad was a handball champion of the world, and
Hmm.
he was a Golden Glove champion.
Wow.
I'm one of 11 children. And I'm not going to go back in my story, but for that attention with all those children, I wanted to be out there.
Yeah.
So I was the one who ran with my dad, worked out with my dad, did pull ups, if my dad wanted to get up and run, who's going to get up banging the pots and pans? You're
Yeah.
sleeping your life away. I was the one up. And a lot of things my parents didn't do great, but I'm very grateful that I have discipline from my dad and my athleticism for sure.
Yeah.
So that has always been there through bulimia, through all my turmoil in my life. Health and wellness has always been there.
Yeah.
So 16.
Yeah, getting back to your TikTok account, you do some of these videos where you exhibit these feats, I guess, of strength. The one
Yeah.
video you're pretty much doing a handstand, but doing a push up as a handstand with one hand. That's the type of thing that's probably not something I'm going to be doing anytime soon. And I've been very lucky. See, you and I are almost exactly the same age. I turned 56 this week.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, and another year closer to death. That's what it is. But
No. Got to
so
reverse
anyway,
that thinking.
all right, yeah, okay. Well, I have an odd humor. It's a positive thing. So anyway,
It is. It is.
I I take after my maternal grandfather. I've been very lucky. I've always had a pretty good build up in my upper chest, upper arms, and done very little to develop it. But I wouldn't be doing any upside down handstands anytime soon. That's for sure. Of course, I weigh a lot more than you, but I should do more with my health than what I do. I'm not necessarily a junk food eater. I'm not one of these people that's a steady flow of my diet. But on weekends and stuff, it's not uncommon for me to eat some junk food or have a dessert or something like that. To balance this, let's start with like a common sense balance, because a lot of people have some distorted views. A lot of people don't understand what good nutrition is on the one hand, and then on the other hand you have the other extreme, where they've taken their enjoyment of life away and they deny themselves everything. There's got to be a balance of eating the right food, exercise, all of these other things. What are some of the most basic mistakes that people make with planning their diet for the week? Because the excuse you always hear is, well, I'm busy. It's just quicker to go through the drive through. What's the biggest mistake that people make?
Okay. Well, I focus now more on the nutritional counseling that I do.
Okay.
Being an RN holistic health coach. Before COVID, my brand was I put the personal in personal training. I am a nurse. I'm a nutritional counselor, Reiki master, yoga teacher, personal trainer. So COVID comes along, and of course that whole personal
Oh
aspect
yeah.
went right out the window.
Yes, absolutely.
So I have come to the point, and it's all good though, because I've come to the point where now I'm focusing on helping people with their nutrition. And that is what my platform is now, is educating people and letting people know that it doesn't have to be so difficult.
Yeah.
I came up with the 5 pillars of Lenora. Now you're going to see the pillars of health and wellness all over Google, but I came up with my little tweak on them.
Sure.
And that foundation for me, and for I believe for everyone, should be nutrition.
Hmm.
So I'm having a shirt made now that says I'm a product of high quality, nutritionally dense food.
Okay.
And that is the bottom line for me. It's funny, people will, oh, can you look at my diet? Of course, that's what we do. I look at their diet. I give them suggestions. I don't put them in any category. I go by how they like to eat, and I come up with the healthiest options that they can afford,
Yeah.
that are going to be palatable for them. But the biggest thing I get is, I eat really good. I eat really well, and I'm going to send it to you. You're going to know. I eat really good. And I'll get it, and they just don't have any clue. They just
Yeah.
don't know. There's artificial sweeteners. There's, they think they're getting healthy options from takeout places. And to me, that's not even real food,
Yeah.
because there's chemicals in those foods, processed foods, that are meant to have us coming back and eating more of
Yeah.
it. Okay. So when I say nutritionally dense, high quality food, basically I'm talking about food that you can pick, grow, or kill.
Okay.
As short and sweet as that sounds, that's what it is. Now, if you're a person that is a vegan, or, I work around that too, but there are definitely healthier options than buying. This is a problem with now. This is a big thing for me, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually going to do a podcast on it. I was a vegan vegetarian for 16 years, and I'm not putting down any one diet.
Mm-hmm.
But I have come to the conclusion, and this wasn't an overnight thing, and I hate this phrase, but I didn't do this willy-nilly, because I study. For the last year, I've been studying the way my body responds to food.
Yeah.
It just was not working for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was finding things that were not good. I was always very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that I wasn't feeling good
Yeah.
all those years, but my teeth, my gums, my hair, things like that, I have to take that into account. If you like to eat vegan, I'm not going to try to persuade you any other way. That is
Yeah.
not what my goal is, but I
Right.
will definitely find you better solutions for food, because what happens is you find the substitutes
Yeah.
for the real food. And what happens is artificial things are put into that food, and to me, it's just setting you up for failure,
Yeah.
honestly. So that's basically what it is. It's just eating food that you can pick, that you can
Mm-hmm.
kill, that you can grow. Mother Nature, food that comes from nature.
Yeah.
And, being able to read any labels. If you're going to buy something, you're able to actually read the ingredients on the package, not to fill your
Yeah.
body with any artificial sweeteners. Those are things that I believe 100%.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's interesting in regard to the meat, because there's people who swear up and down that you don't need meat to get protein. And then there's other people that say, no, you got to have a little meat. And there's a lot of opinions out there, and we're not going to settle that. I don't know.
no.
I can tell you that I believe it was a comedian, Dennis Leary. I believe he said, here's what vegetarians don't understand about meat. Eating meat tastes like murder, and murder is pretty effing good. That's what he used to say.
Wow. I'm not going to go. This is Billy. I want to tell
Yeah.
you something though. I just started eating meat after 16 years
Yeah.
on the 19th of January.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not to say that it was easier for me. I only get grass finished beef, and we'll talk about that. But it wasn't that hard, because I was a meat eater prior to that, because I used to do bodybuilding shows. Like, I was
Yeah.
one of those people where need protein, Now I have evolved. Things have changed. I may, the way I worked out even 2 years ago is a little different. Now
Yeah.
I do stick to my basics, my functional moves that have worked forever.
Mm-hmm.
But we change, we change all the time. It wasn't so hard for me to eat meat again, but I will not waver from eating grass finished beef. And when the difference between grass fed and grass finished is, grass fed, they can, just like they do with labels with natural and even organic, people
Mm-hmm.
will go to them. And my thing is, when my clients will say, well, it's natural. And I'll say, well, Clorox is natural. Shit is natural.
Yeah.
They can put anything on a label. When you say organic, sugar is sugar. If it's
Yeah.
organic sugar, it's still sugar. Okay. But grass fed, they could feed the cow for 5 minutes grass and they could say it was grass fed.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time it's in a grain, with grain and all of that. Grass finished means from start to finish. They were
Okay.
grass
Interesting.
finished. Right. So what meat has that they call it the vegan brand, and this isn't a debate with vegan or whatever. I honor everybody
Sure.
and their beliefs and what they want to eat. But the facts are real. Science is real. There's something called a vegan brain. It's because choline, I want to pick on choline and creatine. These are things that you can only get from beautiful, good meat, like a good piece of meat. And
Hmm.
choline, you can only get from meat. So if you don't have it, it's sort of like this nourishing feeling in your brain. And I know firsthand when you don't have it. I mean, yes, you can supplement, but supplements are just that, supplements.
Yeah.
They're not the real thing. You don't know how they're made. If you ate nose to tail, organ meats, I can't do that. I have supplements for that from a very good company that I talked to the owner of the company, how they raise their animals. I'm very, very critical on what I put on my body.
Yeah.
If you ate nose to tail, you would get all the nutrients that you would need.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm not saying I'm a carnivore and that's all I eat. I eat things from the earth.
Yeah.
So I'm eating berries, organic berries. I'm eating pasture raised organic eggs. I'm eating, I eat things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a very doable diet.
Sure. And that's one of the things too that, first of all, I am an animal rights advocate. So anybody listening to this, farming and things like that should be done humanely and should be done properly. Okay.
Yeah.
And hunting in observance of the food chain, like in Ohio here, deer overpopulation can become a problem. It's even unhealthy for the deer. They cause erosion because they eat all the foliage and everything else. I don't have an issue with that. Now, I'm against trophy hunting of any kind. That's BS as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But
I am too. I am too.
Without going down that road, the fact of the matter is, it's a pretty wicked, cruel fact that just about everything that you eat was alive or was the product of something that was once alive, with the exception of salt. Just about everything that you ingest was alive at one time on some level. And even if you want to go the route of plants do have a certain viable life force. There's a lot of studies that show, for example, if you go to a bed of a certain type of flower and you pull it, the other flowers alert themselves. They excrete things that make them taste bad and things like that. So they actually communicate. So it's very hard to reconcile for some people the killing aspect. And I would have to say you using that term is interesting because that aspect of food and diet has been taken away from us. It's almost like we go to the grocery store and there's chicken wings there and we presume that they were manufactured somehow,
Mm-hmm.
But there is an observance to the food chain where the dying serve the living, and that's part of how nature works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as human beings, we're pretty I don't want to say unique, but rare in the animal kingdom in that we can eat a number of different things, whether it be plant or meat, so on. Cats and dogs, for example, meats and proteins are pretty much it. You give a cat or a dog a lot of sugary stuff and they can't digest it.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that balance and that common sense comes into play. I don't know what your opinion is about what I said, but that's kind of my take on it. I think that you have to have some common sense in the nutrients that nature wants you to take in.
Exactly. And talking about I pray before I eat. I thank the cow um, that died for me,
Yeah.
because I do believe in energy. I believe that that's why I would never eat. I would fast before I would have to eat something that wasn't grass finished, just because I respect animals. I do. I love them, and
Sure.
it. If you think of it this way, if you're eating something that was tortured and put in these small little places and not be able to
Yes.
roam, and would you really want that in your body?
Yeah.
That's energy. So I'm pretty adamant about that. And I respect animals. I thank God that they give me the nutrients that they do. And I'm not saying that I can't evaluate it this fast, but I feel great. I feel really good. I'm not saying that's from what I'm eating already, but um, I know that my platform is all about the connection with nutrition and being that foundation. This is huge. So I'm going to
Yeah.
get the best quality that I can afford. I'm grateful every day that I can afford some good food for myself.
Yeah.
That's huge too, being grateful for that.
Sure.
Um, but the biggest thing, one of the big things now too, is I have 5 kids, and 2 were diagnosed with epilepsy when they were young. And then my girl, I have 1 girl and 4 boys. The school system wanted to put her on medication, and she needs
Hmm.
ADHD.
Yeah.
And I did a TikTok on this. We go to the doctor, and nothing was asked about her food.
Yeah.
Like, what are you eating? And this is one of the other, how this stems off from nutrition, being able to have good quality sleep, because we don't realize how important good quality sleep is in the way we're thinking. Well, how do you achieve that? If you're eating crap, you're going to sleep like crap.
Yeah.
I am passionate about this. This is a clear connection.
Absolutely.
So, if you're filling your body with food that is really shitty, you're going to be really shitty on
Yeah.
the outside.
Sure.
With the way we communicate with people, with the emphasis that you put on exercise, with your get up and go and wanting to exercise. Now, don't get me wrong, we can't wait for motivation. Like, what's your motivation? Well, I have to be honest. I don't get up, and believe me, anybody who knows me, I'm a beast. I every morning I run about 4.5 miles because I like it. I would
Yeah.
never tell anybody to go running, because for most people it's not great for them, because it puts a lot of stress on the joints and the
Joints.
lower
Yeah.
back. And if people are heavy, that's even worse, because it's just so high impact. So I'm not saying run. I'm saying that it's
For
good for
you.
me. So I go out and I run. The 3 days a week I'm in the gym doing a beastly workout. Lift very heavy. I do meditation. I do yoga. I'm so active. Um, that's from good food.
Yeah.
That's from being conscious about what I put in my mouth.
Yes.
And you know what? Oh, what about your cheat days? And what? If I want something, I'm going to have it, have it. But what normally happens is that those cravings dissipate. They dissipate
Yeah.
as you eat good quality, good fat food. You're not going to be wanting to
Craving
cheat,
crazy stuff. Yeah.
quote unquote cheat, because you're going to be satisfied. You know,
Yep.
you're going to see that connection. If you give it time, like, people have no patience. We don't, we can do a 15-second TikTok. If you go over 7 seconds, though, you lost their interest. It's
Yeah.
pretty sad,
Yeah.
but it's the fact. It's true. We want a pill. We want something that worked yesterday. We don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
Well, it takes work, and it takes education. And my point is also is that, yeah, it takes time to develop this new habit, but it's a habit. It's
Yeah.
it's just like anything else that you learn to do. You learn to stuff your mouth at a certain time, because it's that time
Yeah.
of the day, and it becomes a habit, right?
Yep.
So learn a new habit. Learn a new habit, giving yourself that beautiful food that God put on this earth.
It's interesting that you mentioned coronavirus and how that changed your business. And not necessarily talking about coronavirus in particular, because a mean virus doesn't care how healthy you are, a really mean virus. But in general, when we talk about our immune systems and some of these crazy allergies that people have now, and you mentioned going to the doctor. I don't know how many times I've heard people say they weren't feeling well, and the doctor never asked about what they eat. Um, how important is that connection between our immune systems and what we're eating?
Okay, Billy, I'm going to say everything.
Yeah.
If you are metabolically sound and you are healthy, and that comes from, good nutrition. I wanted to elaborate a little bit on my daughter. At the time, my daughter was eating so bad, and being a person who is likes control, can you tell?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You just don't have control over your kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they got to learn from example, right?
Yep.
Because arguing escalates to some more arguing. So there was
Sure.
at the time, she was flooding herself. She had to be around 13, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
She's 23 now. She was flooding herself with NutraSweet, with artificial sweeteners. And she just wasn't, obviously, she's not getting the real sugar. It's artificial.
Yeah.
So she keeps craving the sugar. So she's shoving gum and gum and gum and try. And I'm telling you, I know this sounds gross. She'll never listen to this, so I could say it. She like piles of gum next to her bed from NutraSweet,
Yeah.
and it affected her. It affected her deeply. And I prayed. I'm like, please God, I have no control over this, but please have her see the light. Well, she doesn't touch NutraSweet anymore. She's a totally different kid. I
Yeah.
never put her on medication. I embrace her ADD. I'm not saying it's for everybody, and I'm not
Sure.
ditching medication. Okay. I'm a nurse. So I'm just saying that your diet definitely has to do with your protection against coronavirus or any other virus or disease. If you get that foundation right, you have sort of like this shield up,
Yeah.
reflecting, and you are obviously way healthier, and you'll be able to either A, not get the coronavirus, or B, if you do get it, it won't be as severe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would have to say the connection between being sick and being well when you go to the doctor, whether it be for something relatively minor like a sore throat or whatever, and not taking into consideration what you're doing with your health and diet is that's a big missing part in modern medicine. So let me ask you, you mentioned your 5 pillars. I know that we can't go through them all in detail, but to give people an idea of your content, whether it be on your TikTok page or on your podcast, these 5 pillars, what are Lenora's 5 pillars of wellness? I believe is what you referred to it as.
Okay. So the foundation, you don't want to build a house on a shaky foundation, right?
Right.
So the foundation is definitely nutrition. So it's fueling your body with high quality, nutritionally dense food, including good quality water. So, and this in turn will lead to better sleep and being able to follow through on the other pillars with ease.
Okay.
So then the training. Your training would include mobility, strength training, active recovery, which means yoga, stretching, something like that. Being able to move functionally. What is your volume, your frequency? Are you training properly? Give yourself the stress that it needs, and that's stress in quotations. We need to stress our body. We need to
Mm-hmm.
stress it by doing some kind of weight training, by doing weight-bearing exercise, whether that's walking, which I love, which I
Yeah.
recommend to everybody, because that's putting your foot to the ground and it's weight-bearing and it's going to build bone. Okay,
Yeah.
we want to do that, right?
Yep.
Community and support system, huge. So who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you in a tight circle? Are they lifting you up? So you want to make sure that you
Yeah.
have that tight community and support. Mindfulness. So you want to be self-aware. Who are you as a person? You want to bring that nervous system down. So just like you're stressing the body when you're working out, when you're doing that type of thing, you want to bring the body system down, whether it's through restorative yoga, which I think we talked about
Yeah, we
on
did.
your
We touched on it.
podcast. Like that's bringing your nervous system down, meaning you're in that parasympathetic state. And as a nurse, I talk about this all the time. The way you heal was, if you're a nurse, they give you, okay, give the patient this med to bring them down so they're not anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the way to heal. So to do it naturally, we want to develop that to be able to do that on our own.
Okay.
Whether that's through meditation. Now, an easy way to do it is to go out in nature without buds or any like earbuds.
Yeah, I know
And
what you mean.
just listen to your breath. Listen to the sound of your feet on the ground. Listen to the birds, the trees, and that's a meditation.
Yeah.
That's very important. Consistency and discipline. Are you truly putting the work in, or are you just fooling yourself?
Yeah.
So it takes work. It's not. It's something I work on every day. Every day, I want to play with my grandchildren. I want to take care of my mind, my brain, my whole self.
Yeah.
So that's it. Those are it.
I can't imagine anybody not understanding that this is a vital part of feeling good. And when I say feeling good, I mean emotionally, physically, they tie in together. And people that are just eating like fast food French fries probably has to be one of the worst, because they're not even probably real French fries in the context of what's all in them.
Right.
They're not even real potatoes.
No.
By the time they've been processed and lathered up and spiced up and everything, the food, they're not even. They have no nutritional value at all. They cause more problems.
Billy, it's the oil. Like we are bombarded with these seed oils or these plant oils, and they're all full of omega-6s, which cause inflammation in the body. So all these autoimmune diseases are really inflammation in your body somewhere. So we're bombarded with those oils.
Yeah. And there's an aspect to our world too that even if you live up in the mountains and you have a garden, there's so much in the atmosphere, there's so much in the ground anymore, that you don't know what you're coming in contact with as it is. So to go out of your way to eat junk, it just makes the problem even worse. I personally never did, for example, alcohol and all that never, it never grabbed me. But those types of things too are very corrosive, and we give them a pass. And I'm not saying that you can't have a beer on Sunday afternoon watching the football game or whatever, but when they become part of your routine, just like junk food does, just like so many other things, there's a reason why being drunk is called intoxicated, because it's a toxin. Okay.
And alcohol, honestly, and I'm not saying I don't have a glass of wine or whatever, but alcohol is poison. It's poison.
Yeah.
I can't say anything different than that.
Yep. And getting through this world, through life, is difficult enough in the best circumstances, even when we try to eat healthy. And my advice is avoid the toxins, avoid the bad food as much as you can. And hopefully you'll live a long, healthy life. There's no guarantee you're going to live a long life, obviously, but there's things that you can do to improve your chances. So I don't know that necessarily longer is better by most people's estimation, but you want that time to be quality time.
Exactly.
Yes, I've met so many people who are half my age that can barely stand up. And I kind of believe that's our modern society. I'll close with that. You know, you mentioned we can't even go for a walk without stimulating our brain artificially with electronics and all these other things. You can't
Mhm.
enjoy the wind and the this and that, and that's a shame.
It
Um,
is a shame.
yeah, we've lost our connection with ourselves. We've lost our connection with food and nature and the things that make us healthy.
Mhm.
In
Mhm.
closing,
Amen.
is there any way, and I know you don't have an answer, but just in closing, what would be your best advice for people who maybe have lost that connection? They're always stimulating themselves with something. They have to stimulate themselves with chemicals. They have to stimulate themselves with noise. They couldn't go outside and go for a walk and just enjoy themselves for an hour. And some people can't. I mean, it sounds like a simple thing, but they can't. And generationally, I have a friend who's a trainer, much like you, and she had parents from what they call the old country, you know, and people always tell her, "Well, your parents could eat whatever they wanted and did." Yeah, but their lifestyle was different. You know, like my grandfather, for example, worked on the railroad all day, and that was before all the rules about what you could lift and how many. You know, he was doing physical activity all day long,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
he came home and he used the old-fashioned push mower with no engine. Of course, he could
Mhm.
eat
Mhm.
whatever he wanted.
Mhm.
Now you're
Mhm.
sitting at a desk all day long, or you're doing whatever, and you can't you can't it's different now. We have to be more aware of what we're eating because according to my trainer friends, and I think you would agree with this, you can't out train a bad diet. You can't, you know, eat a pizza that's an inch thick with cheese and weighs 10 pounds and walk around the block. It's just not going to work. You have to have that diet as a foundation. Would you
We just, yeah, I forgot what I've been on so many podcasts.
oh well,
I said the same thing about, I hate that shirt where it says, I run so I can eat what I want, or something like that.
yeah, you can't.
And I just want to ban that shirt. That and cologne. I
Yeah.
hate cologne.
You hate
I
cologne.
hate it.
Oh,
I
okay.
hate cologne. It should be banned. Anyway,
Okay.
no, you can't. You know, that's why you got these marathoners. They're little, they're skinny, but you know what? What's going on the inside there?
Yes.
What is going on in your arteries and your brain? And you know, what are you feeding yourself? You can definitely not work out a bad diet. You
Yeah.
can't. You
Right.
cannot. You
Yes.
cannot. So, what I would say is just make small little increment goals. Just be aware that it's necessary. I mean, educate yourself on the necessity of bringing the body system down. People are
Yeah.
not aware of that. I teach restorative yoga. It's all about that. The people that can't do the restorative yoga is because it's too uncomfortable. They're quiet too long. They feel like they're doing nothing. And it is the art of doing nothing. That's the whole point of the
Yeah.
practice, is to bring your body system down. I don't talk a lot. I don't play music. I put you in a pose and you're there for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I remind you while you're in the pose, bring your breath down. Be aware of your breathing. Be
Mm-hmm.
aware of the sensations in your body, because we disconnect from what's going on in our bodies and our feelings because we are overstimulated.
Yeah.
So the people that came to my class before COVID, I have a small little studio where I live. They get in touch with me all the time. I miss your class so much, because it was their gas in the tank once a week,
Yeah.
where they're restoring everything and they're healing, and
Yeah.
they understand the connection, how important it is to give yourself that break from your computer, from your iPhone, from your buds, from even music, or from
Yeah.
people talking. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say try to make small little increments, like go outside for 5 minutes, like take a walk for just 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then
Rediscover
normally
that.
what happens, they'll continue because
Yep.
they like it.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and it's a habit, just like I said, it's a habit. You get used to it. Hey, this feels pretty good. Oh, it feels good not to have that in my ear and, worry
Yep.
about that email coming in, and you know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Just
and I would
listening
say,
to
I
you.
would say, I would say educate yourself and understand why it's important too.
Yeah. I was just going to say that after listening to you, I'm ready to go out and run around the block. And
Yeah, you don't have to run. Just enjoy
well, you know,
nature. The snow is beautiful out there,
yep,
crunching in the snow. Yeah. So
yep. I would agree with you. The particularly frigid days aren't good for me, where it's like real sub freezing and windy. But most of the time, winter isn't that bad. And
it's not, and you
yep,
should see me, Billy. I have
yep,
icicles coming. I have a scarf around me, a snowsuit, my boots, my hat, I'm like the
yep.
abominable snowman.
Mm,
And this is something I've done for so long is get out in nature that I remember when I was pregnant with my first son, he was born in March. So I went through the winter. So I went out every day and everybody knew me where I was. They'd wave because there was Lenora with this big old belly, right? So this is 31 years ago.
mm,
Okay, well, he's 31, and I came home literally with icicle on my nose, like
yeah,
from the cold. It's
yeah,
possible. You bundle up, put your gloves on, I'm telling you, once you get prepared for it, you're prepared
yeah,
for the weather.
yeah.
And then you did all that work. You might as well stay out there and take a walk.
Absolutely. It's a new dawn for you on
Yes.
TikTok, and you said you're shifting more towards diet now. Did I hear you
Well,
correctly?
because that's where I can reach people all over the world.
Yeah.
So it's nutritional counseling. And what we do is I'll follow them from an app, and they fill it out every day. I go every morning and I work on changes or whatever I need to talk to them about the end of the week. And then once a week, we talk for like 45 minutes, an hour,
Hmm.
either Zoom or just a phone call, whatever they want to do. And it's like a counseling session.
Sure.
It's
Hey,
beautiful.
where can people find your podcast? You have a podcast as well.
Yes, it's a new dawn, and they can go to my website it's being revamped now, but you can still get all the information,
Sure.
podcast, the YouTube. It's a new dawn nj.com. So
Okay.
it's a new dawn nj.com.
Awesome. We have been talking to Lenora. You can find her on TikTok. You can find her all the places she just talked about. She's well rounded in terms of her philosophy about the physical part of life, the spiritual part of life, the intellectual part of life, and she's a lot of fun to listen to. And she does a lot of entertaining things on TikTok as well, feats of strength, and
I haven't done a lot of those lately, though.
oh, okay. Well, you still
There's
do
a
though.
lot on there. There's a lot
Well,
on
you're
there.
you're
But
you're the real deal.
I'm
There's
a
no doubt
real
about that.
deal.
I mean, yeah, you're the real deal physically because, like I said, you and I are the same age, and I wish I was in as good a shape as you. And I should actually make an effort to be that. That should be something that I'm actively working on. So I will.
Be your own shape, Billy.
That's right. So thank you very much. As always, we're going to be enjoying your TikTok videos and checking out your other content, your podcast, and a lot of other things. Thank you very much, Lenora.
Thank you, Billy.
You're
Love
very
you.
welcome. Thank you to the audience as well. Again, you can find me pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. I would have to say the lineage that I have with Apple Podcast and Spotify is well known. But popping up on new things all the time. I have people come up to me and say, "Hey, I heard you on such and such." And I really, oh, that's cool. But anyway, yeah, that's always a great feeling to know that there's people out there and they're listening and they're a part of your life in one way or another. That's fantastic. So Twitter at Billy Dees has kind of like my social media home. I have a link tree in there. You can check me out from there. Twitter is, in my opinion, for me anyway, it's just like with anything else. Twitter is kind of built for podcasting, and it's worked very well for me. So thank you very much for listening to our program today. I am Billy Dees. Thanks to Lenora, and we will be talking to you again very soon. Well, hello everyone. I am Billy Dees from the self-titled Billy Dees Podcast. You can find me on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and many more of the best podcast networks. Join me for my commentary and interviews. Follow me on Twitter, real easy to find, at Billy Dees. I am Billy Dees. I'd love to have you listen in.